Hello, everyone, and welcome to Children of the Forum. My name is Lindsay Hartzell, and I grew up in a transformational self help group. And over the last year, I've been taking a look at just how detrimental that belief system was to my development. So, in these conversations, I'll be talking to other people who were involved from an early age or whose families were heavily involved to hear what it was like for them and most importantly, what they've learned since leaving that environment. Several months ago, I had the honor of talking with Marlo and hearing her story. Marlo was raised by a single mom who, for a very formative 5 years, became so entangled with the demands of the group, she couldn't see what her own child needed. Something I want you to keep in mind during this conversation is that Marlo's mom was 100% a volunteer. Even more than that, actually, she was paying to be trained while she was working for the company for free. I hope you appreciate this conversation as much as I did. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. We speak from our personal experiences and opinions. The views expressed are solely those of the individual speakers and are not intended to malign any group, club, organization, or business. So, we're going to start today at the beginning and just tell us a little bit about what your childhood looked like, particularly in the context of your mom's involvement in Landmark. And how old were you when you first became aware that Landmark was a big part of your home life?
Yeah, Landmark became a big part of my life basically overnight or over a weekend, I would say. My childhood, was raised by a single mom, and she was a single mom my entire life. My parents were never together. So when my mom got involved in Landmark, we had just moved back from Oklahoma, and it was a period of deep isolation for my mom. She had an awful boss. She was away from her support system, and uh, also, my dad wasn't in Oklahoma either, so she was a full-time solo parent at that time. My mom had me at 21, so she was like 25 when we moved to Oklahoma. 25, maybe 26 when we moved to Oklahoma. So my mom's family was very involved in my life. My grandparents and my aunt would like fight over who was going to pick me up from daycare before we moved to Oklahoma and stuff. So moving to Oklahoma, while I lost a lot of my family too, it was replaced by a lot of friends. But for my mom, it really was just like gone. And I think it really hit her a lot harder than she thought it was going to.
And
So
that's why you
coming
guys moved back.
and that's why we moved back 2 years later was because my mom was really super depressed, and I think she recognized that, and that's when she found Landmark, as in we immediately moved back, and within, I think, like, a couple months, maybe a couple months, it might have even just been weeks, she was in Landmark, and I don't remember who introduced it to our family or who found it. Well, whoever did find it, every single person in my family except for my grandparents ended up doing the Landmark for him.
Wow. In like a really close amount of time?
I think they were doing it at the same time. I think they
Oh,
were in the
wow.
same forums together. I know this because I remember my mom being upset that my aunt didn't do the homework. They thought they did the homework, but they actually didn't do the homework. And then when they stood up to do the homework, then she like called them out on it. It was a big drama in the family that my mom called them out for not doing the homework, even
Oh
though
my gosh.
they stood up because they truly thought they did the homework. And then, yeah,
And
drama.
so it begins.
From the jump, there was just like, I mean, it was like drama. Who was going to? I come from a family of analyticals, so it was like, who was going to be the most perfect Landmark participant? And get
Mm,
star in the cookie, right?
yep.
So that being said, my aunt and my uncle participated for a while, and then they stopped and did like some traditional counseling. And then they never really like went back into it being a participant in Landmark. They were just kind of done at that point and they took a break from it. I think my uncle had a gut feeling that something was off and he just was like, I'm done with this, you know?
And they were participating a lot, and their marriage wasn't doing great.
Yeah, I think they were just kinda doing, like, I think they did the landmark form, and then I think they just kind of, like, fell into, like, advanced course and, like, maybe a seminar or 2. I was so young, I don't really know what they were doing
Mhm.
specifically. All I know is my mom did the landmark forum, and then within short succession, she did the forum when I was, like, 7 or 8. So this is, like, 97, 98, and then I remember by 99 or 2000, she was a seminar leader
Wow.
or, like, doing about to be a seminar leader. She was in it, and in it hard and fast.
Yeah,
And
because
she's
it's
even
not a small feat to become a seminar leader. That takes some real commitment and time.
Yes, and she was a single mother, so it was literally like losing my mom.
So what was it like day to day? What did your life look like?
It really was not home much, and by home, I mean, like, in my own bed, in my own room. I was typically either at my grandparents' or at my aunt's, to the point where I had my own space in their homes, because I was there so much. And and then every other weekend, I think I was at my dad's, and then at some point in time, I went to every weekend, it was going to my dad's because my mom was so overwhelmed with everything that, like, she needed a break. But there'd be times I didn't talk to my mom for, like, weeks at a time, and I don't even think she really knows that we didn't talk for weeks at a time. So, it's very, it was very traumatic in that way. I remember she got into it, and I remember after some conversation she had with someone at Landmark, she was just like, "I've been there for you all the time ever since you were born. I'm taking this time for myself." Like, I don't know if that was necessarily verbatim, but I remember her saying that, like, "I'm going to like, this is for me, and I'm going to do this for me, and, like, sink or float." Like, it was basically just kinda like, "You don't
To
have a
you.
choice, and I'm doing this, and I don't care what your feelings are. Like, this is what I wanna do, and I'm gonna do it," you know? Like, I'm the parent, and I'm making this decision. And so it was kind of like, "Okay, that's great." She went from being depressed, and I already didn't have a closeness with her, and then whatever little bit of closeness I did have, 'cause I even when we were in Oklahoma and she's in her deep depression, on Friday nights, we'd go to Sonic and get a foot-long hot dog and watch Grease. It would play on, like, Turner Classic Movies every single Friday night, and I loved Grease, so we would watch Grease and eat a hot dog in our bed. And
That's
then it went
really
from, like,
cute.
having, that kind of weekly routine to, like, "I don't know where my mom is,"
And suddenly she goes from being super depressed and tired to really busy and out and doing things and being
and
with her.
completely gone. Emotionally, physically, just gone. I didn't have my mom anymore. And then I'm lashing out, and that's just making her angry. So we went from having a fine relationship to having a very contentious relationship. And I don't think that that ever stopped. It's gotten better since it was so bad, but I don't think it ever stopped
Well, and being
being.
so young, it's like that was the framework for your relationship being created, right? At
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, like that's your framework for how
Yeah.
you're gonna relate to each other.
Yeah. And it really, I think it shattered was a deep, I think it shattered the trust I had in my mom. I wouldn't say that today that she is somebody that I trust.
I'm so
So
sorry, Marlo. That is really
and
heavy.
it's ironic because integrity is, like, the core of Landmark, and I remember just always laughing, like, "You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah,
Like, you're out of integrity with Landmark, you're out of integrity with me. Like, w you care about being integrity with this company
yeah.
more than your only daughter," you know? It's a little silly.
And that's landmark integrity. They redefine integrity so that
Yeah.
they can control you.
And it's so funny too is because it's like, um, I've seen so many people defending it and just being like, "Well, that's not my kid's experience." And I'm like, I had her friends coming to me and telling me that I'm being selfish. Verbatim, this has come out of other adults' mouth. When I'm throwing a fit at the center because I don't wanna be there anymore. I wanna go home, and my mom's getting pulled into something else. And I'm like, "I want to go home. No, please. Like, I wanna go home." And they're like, "Well, don't you think you're being a little bit selfish? Like, we really need your mom. Like, she's so amazing. And we just need you to share her just a little bit longer, a little bit more, And it's like, my mom worked full time. I went to school, got picked up. We had to haul ass from wherever we were, Kirkland or Des Moines, and haul it all the way into Seattle in rush hour traffic. And I'm starving. I have to wait for whatever break so we can like walk over to somewhere to get some food. It was so stressful just to get there. And then once we were there, I'd just be like, and when are we going to leave? We never left on time. And it was school nights. And then I'm like falling asleep under the desks in the office and, you know,
What time at night?
pardon?
What time at night were you there till?
Least 10. At least 10. I would say 10 on a good night.
Yeah,
I would say it would be
weeknights.
closer to 11, probably.
Wow. Okay, so you're in and out of the center, following her around as she assists her every last breath. And then at 8, you did the landmark form for young people.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that?
I remember never being able to do my homework. I don't think I ever did the homework. I very much remember that ever.
Do you remember
Uh,
what the homework was?
yes, I remember. We had to go into an elevator and say, "Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention?" And then sing "Row, row, row your boat." That was
Okay.
our homework.
And what was that supposed to provide you with?
I think it was supposed to, like, be freeing, you know what I mean? I think if I remember correctly, it was like we were s it was supposed to, like, make you open or whatever, and I just remember we were gonna I was all like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna go up the Space Needle and do this," and then when it was, like, time to go, I'm like, "I'm not getting out of the car." Like, "I'm
Yeah.
not doing this." Like, it just, you're
Nice
supposed to,
in
like
theory, but not
Yeah,
in actuality.
yeah, and I just remember, like, the kids who always did do the homework, like, they were, like, pretty young. Like, it was never, like, the older kids who were like, "Yeah, I did the homework," but a lot of kids didn't do the homework.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that feeling fairly mortifying to, like, a
Yeah,
young person who was shy at all.
first time I did it, like, I didn't really know all the answers, and then, like, the second time I did it, I knew all the answers, but it was just about knowing the answers. I don't necessarily ever think that I truly understood the material at that point in time.
You just knew how to reply, how they wanted you to respond to it.
Yeah, and I remember I volunteered to get up to share when they were doing the work on rackets. Or yeah, it was the work on rackets. Like, they would pick people out of the class or and have them share a racket, and then you would work with the leader on how to move past it. Then it's part of your already always way of listening too, like that. Do you remember
Right, like
that?
you've got a bad pretty much like you've got a bad opinion or thought about something, and that's where you're coming from in your
Yeah.
communication.
And so I remember getting up and trying to like share about my mom's relationship with the problem, and they wanted just a specific thing. And I was like, I didn't have the language to be like, "Hey, my mom's never home and I feel abandoned."
Yeah, you're
And,
8.
like, how do I move past this bad feeling? Because I feel really bad about this? And I don't remember what I said or what I shared, but, like, they're like, "Sorry, that doesn't work." And, like, I had to sit down. The one thing I came there for, they can't help me with. Like,
No, because you had a racket with Landmark for stealing your mom away. How are they gonna how are they gonna help that? They're not
yeah.
gonna give you back your mom.
And it was always slightly uncomfortable too because I always knew somebody who was volunteering. So, like,
Oh,
couldn't really speak super freely because
of
my
course.
mom's friends were right there. That's awkward. Granted,
Y
I didn't really care about, like, I've always been very comfortable giving my opinions. You know, people knew me and my mom had a tumultuous relationship. That's why people would come up to me and try and talk to me about my relationship with my mom. But it was
try to
always about
fix it.
me.
Yeah.
It was always about changing how I viewed my mom. It was never about like, "Hey, Roxanne, maybe you shouldn't be a seminar leader because you're a single mom and your kid doesn't see you enough."
Yeah.
And because the thing that people don't realize, if you're just a participant, you do not realize that your seminar leader is working every single day on your seminar. Even if you're only doing a seminar once a week, they're on coaching calls every single day. They're getting ready for the next seminar. They're practicing.
They're
I
working on
remember
their
my mom
stats.
practicing all the time. Stats. Oh my god, my mom would be in tears all the time about her stats. All the time about her stats. Those things drove her. I mean, like, I think they broke her, honestly, in some kind of way, because my mom is an overachiever. So my mom left Landmark eventually to become an attorney. So she went back to law school when I was 13, and she graduated from law school the same year I graduated from high school. That's the only reason she, like, stopped, or she got completed.
Right,
That's the
because
word. They
she
completed her.
needed a career, and that was gonna be more
Well,
demanding
she
than
just
what she
couldn't
was
do it.
doing.
She couldn't do school, work,
Yeah,
and Landmark. Something had to give and something had to go. But she created the possibility at Landmark, and
right.
she was going to be an attorney.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
well, that's it, right? There are some things that you can utilize to give you motivation and work towards something.
yeah,
There's tidbits, of course, like in anything, there's good pieces that you can take and you can have them work. But if they become the truth in your entire life and what everything revolves around, it's
yeah,
not appropriate.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's very interesting too, is because I wasn't the only one who was having these feelings about my mom, and I know this because I would express these feelings, and I would get confirmed by other adults in my family, like, "Yeah, no, like, this is too much." Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not crazy for feeling this upset with your mom. As much as it was nice to not be gaslit by everyone in my life, did further put that wedge between me and my mom, which I don't know if that's good or bad. I think I'm glad that I had other people sitting in reality with me, because
Uh,
there was my mom and her friends who I was being gaslit by, and some of her friends had children too that I was obviously forced to be around because of association. And, it's very funny is, like, a lot of us, like, lost contact with each other, and I think we all did on purpose,
mhm.
because I think it's just kind of like a painful reminder of, like, where we were, you know?
Yeah, the traumatic time you all shared together.
Yeah, 'cause I wasn't the only one. I was very close with 4 other children of Landmark. Um, 2 only children who were also girls, and then 2 boys who were brothers. And we all were just upset that our parents were gone all the time. And then when they were home, they're on coaching calls. And if we're trying to talk to them and get their attention because we finally see them, we're getting yelled at because they're on the phone. And why are you bothering me? I'm on the phone. You need to wait. Hi, I've been waiting. I've been waiting for a very long time for your undivided attention, but it's never a thing.
Well, it's this expectation of ultimate responsibility, right? You know what being responsible is. Like, you're 10, be responsible, take care of yourself. I feel like a foundation of Landmark is you're having a problem, sort yourself out.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
It's not the
on.
situation, it's not your circumstances, it's not your environment, it's not the other people. It's
Right.
you.
Right. Well, and like I said too, my experience is that I would get fed a bunch of promises like, "Oh, I will do this with you," or "We'll go do this," or "We'll go do that once we have time." And then that time just never comes. And then the whole thing about, like, being in integrity and authenticity. Those were like the 2 things in my home that were the biggest hypocrisy.
Mhm.
It just absolute hypocrisy, because there is no way to be in integrity with your child and in integrity with Landmark in the leadership program.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no way that you can be in integrity with your child. The
Or with
2.
the rest of your life. It's not even just your child, it's with the rest of your life. Like, it's not compatible
Yeah,
with
your life,
living a life outside of
there's none.
the center.
There is none. There is none. And that's why, from what I have experience with, like, some of the people who would be participants, there was one particular person who was a participant in the landmark forum. I thought she was in leadership, and my mom corrected me. She was not in leadership. She was just a participant, and she created a relationship workshop. And my mom's friend did that workshop, and they did this like 6 week sabbatical and came back and recommitted in their relationship. Everything's new, everything's great. And you should try this with Marlo. And I'm 11 years old. So I did this relationship workshop with my mom at 11 years old.
Were there other people?
No, it's just a one on it was wildly unethical because this was 100% couples counseling.
Just done, like, landmark work and decided to create her own program with the
I mean, she did
no
landmark education, right?
no counseling, no
Nothing.
nothing.
She had no credentials, no real world credentials. She just did this work, and it was basically she was selling one-on-one landmark coaching for couples. That's what she was selling. So we were meeting with her, and I didn't want to do this. I had no interest, right? Like more landmark stuff, great. Like not interested. So she's coming to our house, and there was another woman with her, and I think it was her daughter. And we're doing this stuff. And I don't remember getting any benefit from it. I don't remember if this was before or after the sabbatical, but we did a sabbatical, a 6 week sabbatical. So I'm already upset because I never see my mom. So what's the solution? Don't see my mom or talk to my mom at all for 6 weeks. So I moved in with my dad for six
Oh,
weeks.
whoa. When you said sabbatical, I thought you meant your mom took a 6-week sabbatical to be with you.
No, it's a separation. Terms of the sabbatical are you to have no communication with each other whatsoever. No pseudo communication. My mom couldn't call my dad and ask how I was doing. I couldn't ask anyone else how my mom was doing. Not that I could have anyways, because I was 11, but like, So I went and like stayed at my dad's house for 6 weeks. And we did the sabbatical and we were supposed to like keep a journal. And so I'm with my weekend dad. There's no rules at dad's house. Like, of course, I'm having a fine time. I'm getting attention. I'm seeing my primary parent every single day. I'm having meals provided for me, not living off stove for meals when I'm home by myself because I'm not allowed to cook, but my mom's gone till 11 o'clock at night.
So by 11, you were staying at home alone until
Yeah,
11
I'm
o'clock
like
at night?
that started at 9 years old. My mom started leaving me home alone sometimes when she would go, when she would be leading seminars, because it was just too stressful if I was there while she was trying to lead a seminar. Because, of course, I'm not going to leave her alone.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal if she's like participating or volunteering or something like that, right? Then I can be at the center with her. But like when she was leading her seminars, I couldn't be there. That was too much of a distraction. I'm much happier those 6 weeks at my dad's house.
Yeah, I
100%.
imagine.
Yeah. And so I'm writing in my diary, like, still feels like a vacation, still feels like a vacation because I'm phoning it in. I didn't even write in the journal every day. And I was not reflecting on anything because I was just so mad. I'm so mad. I don't want to be doing this thing. I wanted to live with my dad and nobody would let me live with my dad. And, and so we go back and we're sharing what's in our thing. And of course, my mom's upset that I didn't miss her.
Mm.
But what change was there?
Yeah, what was there to miss?
What was there to miss? I wasn't around you to get yelled at because I'm bugging you. You know what I mean? That's basically what I got a vacation from, is not being a burden? So, it's one of those things where it's just like, so there's that. So we come back. And we either came back or it was right before the sabbatical. I think it was before the sabbatical because I'm pretty sure I was writing those things in my journal purposely to hurt my mom because she hurt me right before. But this person who I wish I could name, but I don't even know if she's alive, so I don't feel comfortable naming her. But if you were around the Seattle Center, you knew of her course because she peddled it around and a lot of people did this, worked with her. And she had my mom share something that she had written down. She had my mom share with her 11-year-old daughter that if I hadn't been born, my mom wouldn't have the financial stress that she does. So,
Wow.
and this is where it was so damaging to me because I've already been feeling like a burden. I already feel unwanted. And it just confirmed that. It just confirmed that my mom would be better off without me around.
Oh, gosh, Marlo, that's awful. That's
And that's,
absolutely
and I
awful.
will. It didn't start my suicidal ideation, but it triggered the it would be I things would be better for other people if I wasn't here. And then I was a year later, I was sexually assaulted by a family member. And that's when the suicidal ideation really started. That like and it really revolved heavily around my mom. And that's when I started writing like poetry and things about killing myself. And a schoolmate found it and turned it in as she should have, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, she totally did the right thing. And I started like going to a psychiatrist who I never shared the sexual assault with. So he was not a very good psychologist. And he told my mom, and she would tell me this. She'd be like, "You're not actually suicidal. Your doctor diagnosed you with like some kind of like dramatic like personality something. I don't know." So
You're
it
just
wasn't
being
good.
dramatic. You're
Yeah,
just
I was
being
being
dramatic.
dramatic. I
Stop
was
being
being
so
dramatic.
sad.
Meanwhile, I went from having straight A's to F's in a summer because I this happened over a summer.
Did your mom
And
know about the assault?
nobody knew until I was like 15, and it was because somebody narked on me. I never told anyone really willingly. It wasn't until I had to go back to that family member's house and I was feeling really anxious and I told somebody at church that I was like anxious and I was going to stand up to him and blah 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 blah. And when I came back I lied and said that nothing happened and I was like so excited that I like told him to fuck off, which I didn't because I was sexually abused by him. So like, there's a weird power dynamic. He was a little bit older than me, but he was also a minor. And it's when because I was like so excited or whatever, the person at church told someone else and then they showed up at my house and it was a little bit traumatic, but like at the same time too, like they did what they were supposed to do. Like I can't get
Yeah.
at 15 though, it was like, I don't want to talk about this. You know what I mean? Like leave me alone. Like
Yeah.
please just leave me alone. I'm trying to act like it didn't happen. And I'm trying to act like it didn't happen a second time too, please. So
But
that's
thankfully, people outside of Landmark obviously saw
yeah.
that things were happening and you needed support. So
Yeah.
amazing that you had that at your church.
It's funny is, like, back then I was very angry. Like, I
Of
never went back
course.
to church after that because
Oh,
like, I was
really?
so mad.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time too, like, now that I'm a grown adult, it's like, if that was my child, like, they 100% did the right thing. But, yeah, I mean, it was, uh,
It feel like
y
another betrayal?
yeah, exactly. But at the same time too, it's like, without what happened to me at Landmark, I am very curious if the sexual assault would have ever happened. And I say that and I don't say that like I blame them for it. But he didn't really have to groom me because I was already groomed. I was already groomed to not listen to my feelings because feelings are empty and meaningless. I was already so starved for attention that any attention from anyone was wonderful. I was a performer. I did dance. I loved sports. Anything to get attention. Just took one person to see that I was vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. One of my beefs is it trains us to be really gullible, to not be critical thinkers. And yeah, I've been taken advantage by people in different ways because I just wanted to not bring any past to the situation, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just also too, it's like, whatever bad things happen to you don't define you and, all this kind of thing. So you're just constantly shoving down anything negative. And it comes out in weird ways. Growing up, just like, hey, I have these icky feelings. Well, you're making something mean something
Yeah.
because everything's empty and meaningless. So your mom being gone doesn't mean anything. You're making it mean something. You're making it mean that you are lonely or sad or abandoned. You're not. You're not abandoned.
Yeah.
And that
Oh,
and
that makes me just feel so sick. It's sick for adults, but to be doing that to a kid, it's just such a mind fuck. Landmark is full of these big ideas, these distinctions that are supposed to change your life. Sometimes some things, yes, but these distinctions have so much potential for harm.
Well, and when you're being told that these can apply to everything. When these can apply to everything, that's a lie.
Yeah.
That's a lie. That's a salesman telling you what you want to hear. Because how easy would it be to just choose to not be burdened by your trauma? Oh, I would love that. I would have saved me so much money paying $150 a session for trauma therapy.
Yeah.
Like, like, great. Like, that would have been awesome if I could have just chosen a different path. Like,
But
but,
life isn't that clean and simple. Nothing is that clean and simple.
yeah,
Human
unfortunately,
beings
I
are
couldn't.
not. Yeah. So there's all these things out there that can really help people. And what was your experience of Landmark suggesting that people do anything outside of Landmark? Like if they were struggling with anything, was there any ever recommendation to go see a sort of professional about it?
No. And I literally watched somebody being told that they need to volunteer more. There was a couple, I do not know their names, and I wouldn't say their names anyways, but there was a couple who had children who were homeless. They were living out of their van. On the rushing to get to the center, because you're out of integrity for late, they were rushing to get to the center. They got in a car accident. They hit someone with their van that they were living out of with, I believe, their two children. They get there, and I watched this person who I remember. She was not very nice. I think she was just hungry because she was doing robbing and stuff at the time. I watched her tell them, I'm so proud of you for still coming here tonight and choosing to be in integrity. And if you just volunteer more, I bet that you could get through this.
Ooh, that is crazy.
I was I was 9 when I heard this. I know it because I remember I was wearing my school uniform. And so this was like around 2000. I witnessed these people being told that, and I just remember being like, that doesn't feel right. I feel like
Nope.
I feel
It's
like
not right.
and the worst part is like if they had been part of a church, like let's say that they were Mormons. Mormons would have given them food, would have the community would have rallied and like tried to help them through whatever.
Yeah.
I think they were just unemployed for too long or whatever it was, right? They would have been supported in a way that would have actually like moved them in the
Yeah.
direction they needed to
Instead of
go.
just
Hi, more free labor. That's
yeah.
what you need. You need to get more free labor.
And then you'll have the breakthroughs that you need to have in order to be able to get yourself out of this situation because it's never about circumstances.
No,
It's never about environment.
you just got to create the right possibility.
It's about who you're being. Always. Doesn't matter. 100%. And it's just so removed from reality.
But yeah, so I mean, and I think that kind of goes back to like, a lot adding more shame, right? So it's like I had the sexual assault and that's shame because obviously I did something wrong. I did something wrong. And that's how I felt. If this happened to me, I had zero sexual awakening at 11 years old. Like I mean, I had crushes on boys, but that's as far as it ever got. Like there was no wanting to kiss them. There was no wanting to kiss anybody, like, holding hands was, like, salacious enough for me, like, and then this happened to me, so it was, like, very shameful because I wasn't ready for it. I didn't know what
Yeah.
anything was. I didn't ask for it, but it happened to me. I kept saying no. It still happened, but so I did something wrong, and I could think of all the ways I did something wrong, but,
Well, and that's what we're taught is to how do you find responsibility for that, right? That's where your power is supposed to come from being ultimately responsible.
and that might work for adults who have some level of understanding that like and perspective because they have time. You know what I mean? Like if this
Mhm.
happened to you as a child and you're a 30-year-old adult talking to taking ownership of your past and like, and doing that kind of work, it is a little bit part of the kind of trauma therapy I did.
Mhm.
In a way, but it wasn't a reframing to make it okay. It was a reframing to give myself forgiveness for what happened to me and
Yeah.
give myself grace for not doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But in Landmark, there's no forgiveness. You're not forgiving your child self for not yelling when there was adults in the home. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
When this thing happened to you. That you don't give yourself forgiveness for that. You just say, this is a thing that happened to me and it meant nothing. No one ever talked to me about this kind of stuff. Right. So it was just weird having the framework of already being a burden, feeling abandoned, desperate for attention because of the lack of attention and a lack of autonomy. I had no control over my life, which, yes, children don't have control over their life, but like I really felt out of control because I would keep saying, I need you. I want to spend time with you. And it
And
was
it's not
met with, I'm exhausted. Leave me alone.
and it's not just even about control with kids, it's about consistency, right?
Right.
So, yeah, kids don't have control over lots, but at least they have things that they can count on, and those are where kids find safety. And if you don't have anything that you can count on, nothing that
Yeah.
feels safe.
Yeah. It's just very interesting because where what I saw and what I heard, right? Because, from what I've heard in like Scientology, right? They separate the kids from the parents.
Yeah.
And it really like listening to that kind of stuff, like it really resonated with me because it felt that way. I was totally treated like an adult. Like when I did the one seminar that I participated in, I'm 9 years old and I was expected to bring someone to a special evening. Hi, 9.
You're 9 and you're doing a seminar with all adults.
Adult. And I remember there being one point in time I had to plug my ears because somebody wanted to share, but they were uncomfortable sharing it in front of me.
Well,
And
good for them to have some fucking awareness.
It's okay. I know what to do. And la 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 la, like,
Yeah.
like, while they like shared whatever they were sharing, I didn't listen. I was honestly, it was like after like 2 or 3 of those seminar nights, I was done. Like I didn't want to do. I just did my homework. Like
And what was the seminar called?
I think it was being extraordinary.
Mm.
And I did it with my mom. My mom was in that one too. Like I don't think I could have done it without a parent there. Maybe I don't know.
No, that would have been inappropriate.
It might have just been the fact that, like, if I had to go there and my mom had to drive me on a weekday, like, she was just gonna do it too, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. Yeah, it's just I don't think I ever participated in Landmark because there was actually something I wanted to get out of it. I think I only ever did it to try and gain favor with my mom because whenever I was active in Landmark or doing the forum or this or that, like, it made her look good, and I would always have the task of trying to convince everybody else's kids to like do the forum, and I had to like share my possibility and like what I got out of it. And like I don't even remember what I said. I mean, I don't ever truly remember feeling transformed.
Yeah, d is
Oh.
there anything that you felt like you got out of it? Like, are there any
Um,
ahas?
I will say one thing is like your already always way of listening with people. I
Mhm.
think I'm really good about not getting stuck in pigeonholing people. Like I'm pretty,
Mm.
I obviously, protect my heart with people who have problematic behaviors. I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna expect this from you to protect myself, but I don't necessarily like think that I'm never going to talk to you because every conversation is gonna go sour. But I mean I think that's one positive is,
Yeah. I can
recognizing
see
when you're just kinda like maybe being that way or something in a relationship. But at the same time too, patterns are important. So, if somebody is
yeah.
doing something all the time, maybe not expect it from every conversation if you can avoid it, but like at the same time too, like don't be surprised.
Yeah, totally. When someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it is them.
Yeah, that's one of those tricky lines because there it really is. It's great to be able to step outside your opinions and look at somebody, you know,
Mhm.
without that. But also, your opinions and feelings are valid. If they're telling you something, if they're trying to warn you about something,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Or
also worth investigating and seeing where that's coming from.
and everyone's not for everyone. So like why do I have to
Yeah,
accept everyone? You know what I mean? Like maybe I don't want to be associated with this person.
I'm allowed to just not like someone and not be around them. having that realization that I'm allowed to have preferences. No, I don't want to transform my relationship with that person. I don't enjoy them. Let them go
Yeah.
be them.
It's really interesting to me because I, like my mom had never really yelled at me before this whole thing. Like I never really did anything. I was not a problematic child until Landmark. Then all of a sudden I'm problematic. And it's interesting because it's like, I thinking back to when all that started with my mom, it really was like she got involved in Landmark and then it was like, I mean, I'm in screaming matches with my mom at 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like, and it just felt like a lot. There was no room for me to make any kind of mistake, especially if it was a mistake that was going to inconvenience her. I think it came from just, she's working full time. She's a single parent, and now she's got this basically a second full time job.
Mhm.
And I mean, like, she really went from 0 to 100 in on this Landmark stuff. Like, looking back on it now, I'm like, where was she getting that money from? She was not making very good money for a very, you know what I mean? She's a single mom paralegal, you know, and she's spending all this money on the Landmark Forum and then immediately into the advanced course and then immediately into the SELP. And then she's flying herself down to California to do the seminar leader training. I understand why she got sucked in. So lonely. And then she found this like place where people are telling her that she like love bombing her
Yeah.
and love bombing me because, oh my gosh, your mom is so amazing. Is she? Because she screamed at me the whole way here. But, so glad you love her, which is so ironic because you have these broken, vulnerable people leading these people looking for answers. And you're basically, I just remember my mom. No wonder my mom was like in a constant existential crisis because she's acting like she has the answers.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, her relationship with her sisters is terrible. Her relationship with her daughter is terrible. It, it's very weird to me that there's no, like, where Landmark I think really fails is really failing to hold people accountable if they are not living in reality. Like they're not living in integrity. Like they're so concerned about having integrity when you're in leadership. But meanwhile, they're witnessing people's personal lives disintegrate. And instead of being like, hey, you're not doing okay, we're going to complete you. That's what they call it when you stop being in leadership. They say you have to get completed.
Mhm.
How about you just complete people? Let them handle their shit and then offer them a spot back. But like this whole thing where like, I mean,
They would go out of business. They wouldn't have
exactly. They
enough
don't actually
people
care.
to work for them for free if they allowed people to properly tend to their lives when they weren't working or tend to their health when it wasn't working. The definition of integrity is so controlled at Landmark that it loses all its meaning. Like
Yes.
it's not what it is.
No,
You know?
no, to a normal person, integrity is just if you are honest. Integrity in Landmark is as long as you are doing all the things that you said you were going to do, regardless of circumstance. Yes.
You've had years to reflect on
Yeah.
all of this. And what have you had to unlearn? What are you still unpacking? What
It comes in waves because there's so much I forgot. I mean, when she got out of it, I really just like let it leave my brain. I don't think I really started healing my landmark trauma until a couple years ago when my mom actually realized it was a cult. And a couple things happened over the last few years. Around the time my mom realized that it was a cult was also around the time my grandfather died. And so there was a lot of reflection going on during that time. She apologized for being abusive and like fully recognized that she had been. abusive to me, verbally, and, there was that. And then also her realizing it was a cult. I was just like, "Yeah, I could've." I'm like, "And this is why I was asking you if Scientology and Landmark were linked at all, and you told me no." And now I've kind of come to realize it's not true. They are loosely linked. Like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
say they're tightly linked, but they're loosely linked.
Seems
Uh,
like Warner took some things from Scientology. There are overlaps.
getting clear. I mean, like that, like right there, like same, same. Everybody had to get clear. Like that's the whole thing is being in integrity and clear. That is like from what I've learned through Leah Remini is 100% Scientology right there. And the whole like volunteer labor thing, that's another one too. And
Yeah. I kinda think of it as Scientology light.
yeah, it's the thing that gets people hooked into Scientology. That's what I told my husband.
Yeah.
I was I basically done Dianetics.
Oh
That's the
my
thing
god.
that got everybody roped into it. I mean, the other thing that, like, I would say is close to Scientology is the very anti-therapist,
Yes. Yeah.
very
Anti anything else.
yeah, anti anything else. And, like, for those people who are just like, "That's just old school landmark, that's not actually true," I'm gonna say that, a couple years ago, my friend was actually working with Werner, and and somebody basically was like, "I feel like killing myself," and they were trying to, like, work through his racket, and then in the elevator on the way up, Werner's assistant turned to my friend and said, "That guy just didn't get it, did he?" She's like, "He shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be here. He's suicidal. He shouldn't be here." Like, maybe he actually just needs therapy.
Yeah.
He
No, he didn't get it. You're right. He
he
didn't
didn't
get
get
it,
it,
nor should he.
and you sure as hell don't get it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you don't get it. Like, so, this whole don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, but I mean, maybe the baby isn't landmark. Maybe the baby is, how about you don't throw your own personal growth out with the bathwater? And the bathwater can be landmark. And you
Yeah.
can just give yourself credit for your success in life. Like maybe it didn't
Absolutely.
have to do with landmark. Cause I told my mom, I'm like, she's like, "Yeah, but, like, without Landmark, I wouldn't have gone to law school." And I was just like, "Yes, you would have,
Yeah.
because it wasn't Landmark. It was meeting this other single mom attorney and you realizing you could be a single mom and an attorney."
Yeah, no,
That's
this is the problem that it's like we're also trained to give credit to Landmark for everything good that happens in our life, and then anything that's not good is our own fault. So it's like any of our victories are like, "Well, I would have never done that without Landmark." I thought that for a long time. It was like, "Who would I have been? What mess of a human being would I have been if I hadn't done Landmark's work when I was a teenager? I would have been so fucked." Yeah, I think anything that's saying that it is the answer for everything, that's the big red flag right there. The other part of it, when you're lonely and then all of a sudden you have this instant community of
yeah,
people, that feels really good. And that's, just a core human trait of
yeah,
trying to find a group belong to.
yeah. And the sad thing though is like you're either paying to belong or you're being exploited to belong. There's not really any like being like, you can't be a Landmark participant and not be paying. And you can't be volunteering and not be being exploited just by the nature of it.
The whole thing is it's faux belonging, right?
Yeah.
It's not unconditional. It's not real.
No.
It's based on like a very rigid set of beliefs. And if
Yeah.
you step outside of that, you no longer belong.
I remember my mom being really hurt and upset that, like, she wasn't talking to her friends anymore, like, when she, like, went back to school, and I remember I'd be like she was definitely hurt that, like, her friends hadn't been reaching out to her since she had, like, started college and, like, she didn't really see them, she didn't get invited over to their houses anymore. One of them moved away, and then the couple, I think, ended up getting a divorce and stuff like that, but, like, she lost touch with them, and I remember her being kind of hurt by the fact that, like, once she wasn't doing Landmark anymore, there just wasn't anything to talk about. Nobody
Well,
cared about how she was doing in college.
no.
I mean, like, they cared, but, like, "Oh, how are you doing in college? Great." And I don't really have anything in common anymore because you're on staff and
Well, they don't have any time to be your friend. They're too busy doing landmark stuff. So unless you're in landmark, that's when you get to see them.
no, they were all doing Landmark and had children. So, like, yeah. Yeah, and I will say it was really exhausting as a kid to be part of it too because, like, you're just being dragged around all over the place. If I wasn't at the center, I was at my grandma's house, my dad's house, my aunt's house, or I was over at my mom's friend's house. I was hardly ever home. You know, I hardly had time to like hang out with my own friends, just didn't have time for things, and
For
just
a life?
a life. Yeah, a life.
Yeah.
And then also too, it's just like, not really fully ever being able to, once things got financially better, it didn't really get better because my mom was so busy with the landmark stuff, she wasn't really managing her money well. And I do
Mhm.
think that I actually think that that's a kind of a common thing because I
Yeah.
remember a lot of people struggling with the money stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, budgeting and being intentional with your money takes time. And if you don't have time to sit down and do budgeting, like, yeah, you're not gonna know where your money went. And if you're not home, you're eating out all the time.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's not cheap to eat in Seattle. Like,
So, what do you think if you could go back now and talk to your younger self? What would you want her to know?
that she's not wrong, that her feelings aren't wrong. I think that was probably just thinking back to like some of the most damaging things that just got reiterated, being gaslit all the time about why I shouldn't be upset that my mom's doing landmark, how I do see my mom all the time, and how I do spend time with my mom, like all this stuff. Like, it was just so much gaslighting, and I felt crazy. And I felt crazy, and then I acted crazy, like I was so enraged with the gaslighting. And I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong. I was right. It wasn't right. There was something wrong. There was something wrong. And, you know, I I I wish that somebody could have been on her side, you know.
Yeah, I do. I really do. Is there anything else you'd want to share or say to anybody who's got kids doing this
My
kind of
biggest
work?
thing my biggest thing is that if you are running any kind of course or self-help workshop or anything like that based off landmark teachings or what you learned in landmark or landmark coaching, like if you decided to open up to become a self-help coach and your only training is landmark, it would implore you to get more education.
And
More.
maybe stay away from coaching children.
100% please stay away from coaching children.
Yeah.
100% stay away from coaching children. It's just, and you're not transforming your child, you're indoctrinating your child. You're
Yes.
indoctrinating your child, and your child doesn't actually wanna do landmark because they wanna be transformed. They're doing landmark to appease you. They're doing landmark to appease their parent. They want your attention. They're trying to get in on it too, and they're trying to understand because you're talking about how great it is, and it's taking you away from them, and they're wondering, "What is so great?
Yeah. That
What is
you would
so
leave your
worth
kid.
what is so worth sacrificing me for?"
That's really well put. Thank you for that. And I just thank you so much for
Yeah, no
sharing
problem.
what it's been like for you.
Yeah,
I
it's so hard to explain it to people who haven't been through it. Like, I feel like I'm constantly peeling off layers to my husband 'cause it's you don't understand how crazy you feel. You
yeah.
don't like, there's just no way to explain that, like, how crazy you feel because you feel like it's not right, but, like, this yeah, it's just like but obviously, yeah. Anytime that you say that, it's met with, "Actually, let's talk about this. Let's transform your way of being."
Yeah. Invalidate all feelings.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that's why it's been so important for me to hear other people's stories
yeah,
so that I don't feel like a crazy person because I really
yeah,
did. I felt just like I was broken. I was an anomaly, running a racket. I was working for everyone else.
yeah,
And it just made me feel like what was possible for me was diminished. by my work in Landmark because
Yeah.
I thought I was broken somehow and couldn't do it. So knowing that other people have that experience,
Yeah.
it's been absolutely life-changing for me to know that I'm not alone.
Yeah. I mean, I you know, was on the Reddit forums just I was asking like, "Hey, did anybody else grow up in Landmark?" I'm just like looking to connect with somebody else who had a similar experience to me. Um, I feel crazy, like, it was just such a technically a short period of time, like 5 years-ish that my mom was in there.
Very formative time.
I mean, yeah, that's very true. Very formative time through the preteen years and things like that. So, like, yeah, that very formative time where you're creating your sense of self, and it
Your
wasn't.
relationships. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it really did break my relationship with my mom in a way that I don't think will ever fully be repaired. Just the trust is so broken this day. Like, I can't say that I trust my mom. Like, and as hurtful as that might be for her to hear, I mean, it's just the truth. I think the core of our issue is that I will never be able to trust her. I don't think I've ever told her that, and I don't really know if it's helpful for her to hear stuff like that because it's like there's nothing she can do about it. Like, what is she going there's nothing that she could do to ever repair that except for keep showing up in a safe way.
Yeah.
But the problem is that any time that there's something and I feel like she's unsafe, we go right back for me, like it's
Yeah.
just, and a lot of it is like my own issues in work, but at the same time too, like I don't really think that there's much I can do about that. I mean, there's
Well,
so it's just damage is done.
you've also only been really unpacking this together for a couple of years.
I mean, that's true. It's like,
So, it's really as early days.
yeah, exactly. Like how could I trust her if she's just realizing now that
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
problematic?
I don't think, just because it is that way right now doesn't mean it's gonna be that way forever, but it also is gonna take time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's only realized that this has been a cult for, like, the last, like, few years.
Yeah, and
So,
we
like
have this expectation of, like, well, once we get something, we change, right? We transform, and that's just not really how it is. It's like
no.
we learn and we
Yeah.
slowly transform.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but like you said, like, we've only her and I have only been really unpacking this level of our relationship for the last couple years, and it really is true. It's just like, I've been telling her that this is problematic for a very long time, and she's just recognizing that it was problematic, so it's like, "Okay, like, yeah, you're right. Now maybe we can make some progress on this part of it." But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it does have this lasting, you know, um, you wanna be able to depend on your parent, but, like, if they're not there, you can't. So it's just yeah, it just kind of shattered that feeling that I could depend on my mom? So, yeah.
Well, yeah. There's not much else to say, but I get it.
Yeah.
I really do understand.
I think it was really hard when Anne's book came out and you had so many people, like, defending it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then, like and just being one of the very few voices being like, "Hi, I just wanna tell you that, like, if you were in leadership and you had children, you sacrificed your children for Landmark."
On that note, I will wrap up this conversation just by saying thank you again to Marlo. I am so honored that she felt safe enough to come and tell her story to me and to all of you. She was so vulnerable and so honest, and I really hope that whoever needs to hear this gets to hear it. Thank you all for watching and listening, and till next time.